Everyone, my name is Maria Ronet Maputol, BEd 1 student. I am the first reporter of this chapter, and now I'm going to report chapter 19 in the life and works of Rizal, particularly the El Filibusterismo published in Ghent 1891. The topic that I'm going to discuss are the following. First is the privation in Ghent. Second is the printing of El Filibusterismo. Third, Ventura, Savior of Fili. Next is the Fili comes off the press. And last is the Fili dedicated to Gomburza. And now let's get started. They flew swiftly for Rizal in Brazils, like flying arrows. Day in and day out, he was busy revising and polishing the manuscript of El Filibusterismo so that it could be ready for the press. He had begun writing it in October 1887 while practicing medicine in Calamba. The following year, 1888, in London, he made some changes in the plot and corrected some chapters already written. He wrote more chapters in Paris and Madrid and finished the manuscript in Biarritz on March 29, 1891. It took him, therefore, 3 years to write his second novel. And now we will proceed to the privation in Ghent. In July 5, 1891, Rizal left in Brazil for Ghent, a famous university city in Belgium. His reason for moving to Ghent were, first is the cost of printing in Ghent was cheaper than in Brazil, and second is to escape from enticing attraction of Petite Suzanne. I just want to share you guys some trivia about Petite Suzanne. She was Rizal fling. Rizal was a transitory or brief romance with Suzanne in 6 months stay in boarding house. And let's proceed. In Ghent, he met two compatriots, Jose Alejandro from Pampanga and Edelberto Evangelista from Manila, both studying engineering in the world-famed University of Ghent. Owing to his limited funds, Rizal lived in a cheap boarding house with Jose Alejandro as roommate. There was a very frugal life, subsisting on the barest necessities. To economize further, they prepared their own breakfast, their daily breakfast in their room, and then years later, Alejandro, who became general during Filipino-American War of 1899 to 1902, and an engineer, recounted in his memoirs their hard life in Ghent was follows. In Ghent, we live in a room paying so much for our lodging and breakfast. Rizal asked me, how much would the room cost us without the breakfast? And then I talked to the landlady and she told me that would reduce the rent so much if without the breakfast. Rizal made his calculations and concluded that if we made our own breakfast, we could save something. And he brought tea, sugar, alcohol, and box of biscuits upon arriving in the house. He opened the biscuits and counted and divided them equally between us. He told me that we own so much biscuits by 30 days. We would have so many biscuits for each breakfast. The first day, because of my personal pride, I contented myself with my ration. And so, the following day, on the third day, I told him that my ration is not enough for me. Then he answered, you may borrow from your ration for tomorrow. Through frequent borrowing, I ate up my ration. I ate up all my shares for 15 days while he rigorously limited himself for his daily ration. And now we will proceed to the printing of El Filibusterismo. Shortly after his arrival in Ghent, Rizal searched for a printing shop that could give him the lowest quotation for the publication of his novel. And last, he did find a publisher, F. Mayer van Loop Press, number 66, Vlaanderen Street, who was willing to print his book on installment basis. He pawned his jewels in order to pay the down payment and early partial payments during the printing of the novel. Meanwhile, as the printing was going on, Rizal became desperate because his funds were running low and the money he expected from Basa and 200 pesetas from Rodriguez Eras for the copies of Marga Sucesos sold in Manila, but these funds were all used up and much more were needed to pay the printer. On August 6, the printing had to be suspended as Rizal feared because he could no longer give the necessary fund to the printer. And now we will proceed to the Ventura Savior of the Fili. Rizal's Calvary, his connection with the printing of the Noli, was repeated in the Fili printings. His funds ran out in Ghent in similar calamity that he experienced in Berlin in the winter of 1886. Once more, he felt the dolorous grief of despair. In a moment of bitter disillusionment, he almost hurled the manuscript of the Fili into the flames, just as he almost did the Noli in Berlin. When everything seemed lost, help came from an unexpected source. Valentin Ventura in Paris learned for Rizal's predicament and immediately sent him the necessary funds. With his financial aid, the printing of the Fili was resumed. And now, the Fili comes off the press. At last, on September 18, 1891, El Fili came off the press. This is the very awaited moment of Rizal. Rizal, now a very happy man, immediately sent on this date 2 printed copy in Hong Kong, one for Basa and other for Sixto Lopez, to his friends in Paris, Valentin Ventura, who generously loaned him the funds needed to finish the printing of the novel. Rizal gratefully donated the original manuscript, an autograph printed copy. He sent other complimentary copies to Blumentritt, Mariano Ponce, G. Lopez Haina, Trinidad Pardo de Tavera, and Antonio and Juan Luna, and other friends. Filipino patriots in foreign lands and in the Philippines praise the novel to the skies. The members of the Filipino colony of Barcelona published a tribute in La Publicidad, a Barcelona newspaper, saying that novel's original style, which is comparable only to Sublime, Alexander Dumas said, and may well be offered as a model and precious jewel in the new decadent literature of Spain. Practically, all copies of the first edition, Ghent edition of El Fili were placed in wooded boxes and shipped to Hong Kong, but almost all boxes were confiscated and the books were lost. So sad, but this happened is blessing in disguise, because guys, it comes to pass that the book immediately became rare and a few available Ghent copies were sold at a very high price, reaching a high as 400 pesetas per copy. So the demand is high and so the price is high. And now, Fili dedicated to Gumburza. Evidently, Rizal, in all the years of his studies, travel, and labors in foreign lands, had not forgotten the martyrdoms of Father Gomez, Father Gurbus, and Zamora, which Pasiano related to him when he was a mayorland in Calamba. He dedicated El Fili to them. And that's all. And the next reporter will be Merry Christmas Bang. Thank you and God bless.
Good day everyone, and my big respect to our subject instructor who is Sir Orencio Estoya. Hello and good day sir. But before having my report, let us first give meaning to some words that are difficult and might new to us, to give a clear understanding of the topic. So these are the words. First is privation, installment, Calvary, predicament, disparate, ration, dolor, hor, and last is sequel. So, prohibition is a condition in which things are very important. Installment is a sum of money as a payment or something for something. Next is Calvary, an experience of suffering or difficulties in life situation. Next is predicament. An predicament is an embarrassing situation or difficult situation. And next is disparate, a condition of great sorrow or sadness. And next is ration. Ration is an amount of food given to a person on regular basis. Just like for example in the hospital, patient is give a food or ration while he is in a medication. So next is dolor. Dolor is a feeling of being hopeless or no more hope. So next is hurl. Hurl is throwing an object with a force. And lastly is sequel. Sequel is a continuation of a story. An example of sequel is El Filibusterismo, because El Filibusterismo is a continuation of the story of Nole Me Tangere. And that's all. And I hope they are clear to you and provide you readiness to listen to my report. So let's move on my topic. As we all know that El Filibusterismo is a story written by Rizal to defend Filipinos from foreign accusation of foolishness and to show to Filipinos the abuse of Spaniards who colonized the Philippines before. So I will continue the report of Ate Ronet Mapotol. So the first slide is manuscript and the book. So the original manuscript of El Filibusterismo in Rizal owned handwriting and now preserved in the Filipiniana Division of the Bureau of Public Libraries, Manila. It consists of 270 pages of long sheets of paper. Two features in the manuscript do not appear in the printed book, namely the foreword and the warning. These were not put into print to save printing costs. So the manuscript and the book is we have so often been frightened by the phantom of filibusterism that from only a nurse's narration it has become a positive and real being whose name alone or depriving us of our serenity makes us commit the greatest myths in order not to meet the fair reality. So the next slide is synopsis of El Filibusterismo. This novel is a sequel to the Noli. It has little humor, less idealism, and less romance than the Noli Me Tangere. It is more revolutionary, more tragic than the first novel. So the word sequel, the meaning of the sequel is the continuation of the story. So the continuation of the story of Nole Me Tangere is the story of El Filibusterismo. So the synopsis of El Filibusterismo, the hero of the novel is a rich jeweler named Simon. He was Ibarra of the Nole Me Tangere, who with Elias' help escaped from pursuing soldier at Laguna de Bay. So dug up his buried treasure and fled the Cova where he became rich and friended many Spanish officials. So after how many years, he returned to the Philippines where he freely moved around. So he is a powerful figure not only because he is a rich jeweler, but also because he is a good friend and advisor of the Governor General. So outwardly, Simon is a friend of Spain. However, deep in his heart, he is secretly cherishing a terrible revenge against the Spanish authorities. So his two magnificent obsessions. So first is to rescue Maria Clara from the nunnery of Santa Clara. And the second is to foment a revolution against the hated Spanish masters. So next slide is Noli and Fili compared. So the two novels is of Rizal vary in many aspects, although they are written by the same author and are supposed to be dealing with the same story and have the same character. The Noli is a romantic novel. It is a work of the heart, a book of feeling. It has freshness or color, humor, lightness, and wit. Wit. So on the other hand, the Fili is a political novel. It is a work of head, a book of the thought. It contains bitterness, hatred, pain, violence, and sorrow. So Noli and Fili compared. So the original intention of Rizal was to make the Fili longer than the Noli. As printed, however, it is a shorter than the Noli. It contains 38 characters as for the Noli 64. Rizal had to cut the Fili drastically owing to lack of funds. So next slide is Rizal's unfinished third novel. So on September 22, 1891, 4 days after the Fili came off the press, he wrote to Blumentritt. So this is the message of Rizal to Blumentritt. Then by the way, Blumentritt is one of the friend of Rizal. He really loved Rizal as his son because Rizal is talented and smart. So this is the message of Rizal to Blumentritt. I am thinking of writing a third novel, a novel in the modern sense of the word. But this time, politics will not find much space in it, but ethics will play the principal role. I shall deal mainly with the habits and customs of the Filipino, and only two Spaniards, the friars and the lieutenant of the Guardia Civil will be there. I wish to be there, wish to be humorous, satirical, and witty, to weep and to laugh amidst tears, that is, to cry bitterly. So this is the message of Rizal to Blumentritt. So Rizal's unfinished third novel. So on October 18, 1891, Rizal boarded the steamer Melbourne and Marcellus bound for Hong Kong. During the voyage, he began writing the third novel in Tagalog, which is intended for Tagalog readers. In Hong Kong, he continued it, but for some reason or another, he did not finish it. The unfinished third novel has no title. It consists of 44 pages in Rizal's handwriting, still in manuscript form. It is preserved in National Library, Manila. So next is the Pitan. Unfinished, written in ironic Spanish, he wrote it during his exile in the Pitan to depict the town life and customs. Without a title, a novel Spanish about Pili, a town in Laguna, also unfinished. So without a title, also unfinished. It is about Cristobal, so a youthful Filipino student who has returned from Europe. Among the characters are Cristobal, who studied for 12 years in Europe, Amelia, his sweetheart, Sucap Ramos, the father of Cristobal, a Dominican friar, Francis Friar, and a Spanish lieutenant of the Guardia Civil. So, it is read that Rizal was fortunate not to have finished this novel because it would have caused greater scandal and more Spanish vengeance on him. So, Rizal's others unfinished novel. So, Makas Misa, a novel in Tagalog. It is written in a light sacristic style and is incomplete for only 2 chapters are finished. So, That's all for my report. I hope that will make sense to it, and God bless and thank you.